While I have a statistical background, I've always been intrigued by agriculture and potentially going into agriculture, and I needed that exposure to get me there. So coming here, that was the best exposure for me in terms of the research that is happening under the USDA and NSF. Is very agricultural centered, and so that's something that made me sign up.
So this whole experience has showed me my highs and lows as a person. I've gotten through a lot of things that I didn't think that I was strong enough to do. It has been times where I have asked to go home, but I knew that my research was bigger than just me. So I stuck it out as a person, and this experience has been really nice and eye-opening.
Many times, people don't travel much, and in the US, we seem to have it all together. You know, the third world countries somehow desire to go to developing countries because they see that they're missing something. But in the US, a lot of people don't think they're missing anything because they have everything they need. And yet, there is another world beyond the boundaries. I desired to train global scientists, people who are not just limited to the US experience also, but to be able to experience research and look at life, really, not just research, but general life through the lens of these other people.
This particular program is a unique program where students are assigned to mentor professors before they arrive in the university. So the students were introduced to their mentors, and they started the mentoring process on the 19th of April, 2023.
And we began to prepare them for the research experience by having virtual meetings. We had virtual meetings every once a week with our research mentors in Egerton.
Basically, my project is trying to capacity build smallholder farmers, as they are the backbone of Kenya's agricultural economy, and even contribute at a higher rate to the GDP of Kenya. So we are trying to capacity build them to potentially employ good farming practices so that they can have impact on the economy as well as their own socioeconomic standing. In turn, of course, eradicating food insecurity.
And so Magda's project basically builds on another project done by our MSc student Lincoln Njiru on trying to look at the actual physical human capacities for seed potato production in Nyandarua.
The foundation of our project was built off of a bunch of literature review and analyzing pilot programs that have taken place before. And using that, we were able to select a sample size of people that we would be working with to full capacity, which we called our key informants. And they have then become, understanding them through interview questions and surveys and demonstrations as well. We understood the specific challenges that we need to hone on for a bigger population, a bigger sample size.
Seed potato production, if done the right way, has higher income compared to ware potato production. But then you have to get the farmer to that level. And that is why this research is very important to us to try and see from an extension perspective, how can we be able to help the farmer to move to the next level.
Largest challenge that our smallholder farmers have here is the institutional challenges, whether that be the governing bodies that certify potato production or seed potato production, or those who make up the bylaws in which you can become certified. So there's a slightly an imbalance of challenges there for our farmers. So we've started to understand, to see what we can do in terms of the policy work and institutional engagement with our smallholder farmers in Kenya. But just based off of those, I understand there should be a lot of alterations in the policy and the involvement of smallholder farmers within the making of these policies that have direct impact on them.
For aquaculture to succeed, we really need to have cheap and affordable fish feeds. Fish feeds make up to 60% of the cost of production for our fish here in Kenya. And to reduce this cost, we decided that this year we need to look at the Caridina nilotica because it is naturally found in the wild in Lake Victoria. However, because of the competition in terms of its uses, because it is also used as feed for poultry and other livestock, and it is very expensive.
This project is addressing the issue of the cost of fish feed production and also the availability of Caridina nilotica in Lake Victoria. So it is contributing to improving the livelihoods of fish farmers here in Kenya, as well as protecting the natural environment. So my samples were collected from a beach near Kisumu. They were transported back to Egerton, and then the samples were dissected here in the lab. I was able to isolate the gut contents and then look at them under a microscope. I then used the images that I took of the gut contents to then identify the algae and diatom species. My preliminary findings are that the freshwater shrimp feed on diatoms and algae, so then that information can then be used to the development of cultivation techniques for the shrimp. I think the broader outcomes of this study of developing cultivation techniques for Caridina nilotica will help contribute to lowering the cost of production for fish farmers, as well as increasing their profit and bettering their livelihoods.
Out of this study, we're able to achieve two key things. One, we're able to know that these freshwater shrimp actually feed on algae. Algae is the main component of the food for these shrimps. This is important because if we decide to culture these shrimps in the lab or to mass produce this, then we need algae.
Actually was able to work on live specimen, and then I harvest their eggs and I place them into incubation tanks, and I had to wait about 17 days or 3 weeks for them to harvest, well, for them to hatch, in order to see if our research was successful. We were able to find, using the decomposition of the shrimp, that we are still able to produce an adequate fish feed for farmers. Well, our findings will now help reduce production costs, and farmers will be able will have another reason to use Caridina nilotica, because they are used already, but this way it's accessible to fish farmers and more or easily available.
Out of these projects, we're able, and I'm very happy and very glad to say, that we have already filed for a patent for this kind of utilization as a utility model. The aim is just to protect the idea, but not to hamper the farmers from using the technology because of the intellectual property rights. So for this reason, I'm very glad that this research is going to impact very many small-scale farmers in this country.
Wastewater is discharged into the environment and has major implications for human health. And also, if we can disinfect wastewater, we can conserve clean water resources. My focus is on aquaponic wastewater. Aquaponics integrates aquaculture, where you grow fish, and hydroponics, where you grow plants in water. So ideally, the wastewater from the fish gets circulated to water the plants. But oftentimes there's disease, and if we can find a way to disinfect wastewater in these systems, we can make aquaponic systems a reality for addressing food security, conserving clean water, and addressing sanitation.
We're trying to solve the food insecurity and kind of eradicate poverty and to reduce the wastewater going to the environment to kind of stop environmental pollution.
Yes. So we sample water from 4 locations on Egerton University's campus. One of them is pond water from the Agroscience Park Fish Farm. It has Nile tilapia. The second is tank water from an aquaculture tank through Dr. Otachi's lab in the Biological Sciences Department. And that tank has Nile tilapia and catfish. And then the positive control is sewage water, which we know has pathogenic bacteria. And the final is distilled water, which should have no bacteria, and that is our negative control. So we will take 10 milliliter glass vials and collect water from each of the 4 sample locations. And then we have an ultrasonic cleaner that will put the bottles in. The cleaner uses high cyclic sound pressure to break the bacterial cell walls. After the specified time period, we've been testing 0, 20, and 40 minutes. We'll take that water, pipette it onto a petri dish, spread the water around and incubate it overnight. And then we'll count the bacterial colonies.
Working on this project, I was very excited because improving food insecurity has been a very big problem, and we have to eradicate the wastewater going to the environment to reduce diseases and pathogenic microorganisms being exposed to people's health. So we have been testing the 4 different water samples to see which one, using the UV technique, to see how it can reduce the pathogenic microorganism, and we're testing bacteria and other coliform bacteria.
We have run 6 trials, and we've shown that after 40 minutes of the ultrasonic treatment, both the pond and the tank water had an average of 0 pathogenic bacteria colony-forming units, which is very promising. We also saw a decrease from the initial values for the sewage and the distilled water to the end 40-minute treatment.
We can conclude that those 2 technologies have clearly proven that they can enhance the improvement on water quality that emanates from any food production system, and therefore we are looking forward to find the best engineering approach of incorporating them into that circulating, integrated food production system.
Based on our results, we can recommend ultrasonic disinfection technique as an effective way to eliminate pathogenic bacteria from aquaponic wastewater. And ultrasonic disinfection technique is unique because it's chemical-free, unlike other methods like chlorine, and it also doesn't pose such a risk to workers such as ultraviolet radiation. This research can be applied to any kind of wastewater that has maybe fish growing in it, and can be applied not only throughout Kenya, but other countries as well.
Our project is about evaluating the efficacy, or that is the effectiveness of herbal extracts in inhibiting the mycotoxin producing fungus. So the aim of the project is to evaluate these herbal extracts so that they can be used to protect maize against the production of mycotoxins such as aflatoxins and the mycotoxins.
My first week here, I was able to run through my entire trial using the fungi Aspergillus flavus and Fusarium. And that process was easy as well. I was able to get the plates, make the media, see the growth on the plate, and then apply the extract to the plate. And then on the plate, you would be able to see like zones of inhibitions. And we did 2 trials and are currently working on a 3rd trial with the actual kernel itself. The 2nd trial, it was better because we had more plant extracts to use. So with that finding, we were able to find a plant extract where it actually gives a clear zone and it inhibited growth of that fungi for several days and weeks.
Basically, what we are doing is to test and see to what extent they can inhibit and get the concentrations which we can recommend. In this case, we found some extracts which are effective, and we have tested them against the inhibition of these microorganisms in the laboratory, and we have found them to be effective.
Okay, so based on my research and my findings, the best thing to use would be the natural preservative. Chemical fungicides are expensive, and using a natural fungicide would be better. It's accessible everywhere.
Today, 27th of July 2023, we are proud to have hosted a symposium which was courtesy of the cohort 3 2023. Now, as I'm talking now, the symposium has been very successful. Nice presentation, top-notch presentations by undergraduate students. Now, the second output from this particular program are the posters which are on display, and we are going to have a poster session which is going to be graced by none other than the Vice Chancellor, Egerton University, Professor Isaac Kibwage, this afternoon. Now, the posters, whoever will go through the posters will give testimony that they are top-notch, especially if you look at the quality of the posters coming from undergraduate students. Now, the third and most critical output that is going to come from each of the mentee students is a manuscript for submission to scientific journals. And this, they will have time to make sure that after this graduation, they will continue with the research data collection process and analysis process and synthesizing to come up with quality publication in a scientific journal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to assure you that over the 3 cohorts that we've held, these are some of the impacts we've had. One, within the host institution, that is Egerton University, already the university is considering adopting this kind of model so that we can review our curriculum to infuse some of what we've learned from this exchange program.
I want to see it improve, that we bring similar order students at the same level together, they work together, so that they benefit from each other. If it is resources which are a big problem, I think I'll promise that I will support the cohort from Egerton University, so they work with colleagues who come under the fellowship.
When we went and visited a hot spring, I feel like that moment really brought us all together as a group. We got to know each other more, and we learned a lot about a culture that, well, a group of people who live right off of the island. Like, they have no other form of resources than fish, which is something that I'm studying, and also just being more in tune with the environment, because the hot spring, like they said, had medicinal purposes, and it was just a very eye-opening and wonderful experience.
Culturally, I mean, Kenya, what's not to say about this? This place is beautiful. And beyond that, it's the people. They're warm, welcoming, and loving. And so as soon as our foot touched ground here, we felt like we were home. And one thing that I was very intrigued by is the women here. They're very resilient and very strong and powerful, and majority of our mentors are women. So for me as a female scientist, seeing these Kenyan scientists being our mentors was very, very enlightening for me, and I'm in awe. So yeah.
Being here in Kenya, I really enjoyed working on my Swahili language skills. I had the opportunity to study Swahili previously, so I've been practicing up and knocking the dust off and learning from everyone that I've been speaking to. Another thing that I've really enjoyed being in Kenya is appreciating all the wildlife that I don't have at home. So going on safari, going on tours of Lake Victoria and Lake Baringo were a highlight for me for sure.
This is my first time traveling to Africa and to Kenya, and it's been an amazing experience. I never thought that I'd be able to have a global experience along with doing research. Some of my favorite moments have been seeing the wildlife. I saw a hippo for the first time in real life, and it's very magical when you grow up learning about certain animals and only seeing them in books or on documentaries, and you actually get to see them in real life. And I think that everyone I've met here in Kenya has been so welcoming, and I made lots of friends.
I haven't been to Kenya, but I'm African, so I was able to adapt to the culture, and very interesting. People were very, very, very accommodating, and the food is so good. I got to try different type of food. It was good, and I got to visit the Erie. I got to visit Lake Baringo. It was very interesting, and my the most fun part was going to the Lake Baringo, where we saw the crocodile. We saw hippopotamus, and it was very interesting. I loved it.
The best part of the trip was going to Nanyuki, meeting with a herbalist doctor here, and also going to the waterfalls there, and going to the equator and Lake Baringo and all those places.
This is the third time that we are hosted here at Egerton University, and the first time being in 2019. We missed 2020 because of COVID, but we were excited to come back last year, 2022. And this year we are here again, so we are very, very happy to be here. The program sponsors students for an international research experience where they do research in a global setting. So we aim to train global scientists. So this is why this site, Egerton University, is a perfect site where we are outside the US, hosted in Africa, Kenya, Africa, Egerton University, but we are also doing research. So we have the global experience component, and we also have the research component.
A lot of research objectives are able to be achieved within a very short time. And this exchange will impact on so many lives because we're able to get results which we can be able to implement to many of the farmers and to improve our food security.
While my background is also in medical devices and the medicine world, I think there's potential for me to be in agriculture with the knowledge that I have in statistics. I think I could be of benefit in this realm. So that's something that's benefited me here from being in this program.
Personally, this experience has helped me learn more about how research is conducted in an international setting, and that's been really invaluable to me. I plan on continuing working on this project when I get home to work towards publication for my project. I also hope to share my experience that I've had here with people back at home.
My plans after this undergraduate experience is to work in the biotechnology industry after graduating with my bachelor's, and then pursue my PhD in biology. And this experience has given me a look into what being a PhD and professional researcher is like?
I chose to apply for this because I needed more experience, and not just in the United States, but out the world, put myself out there for people to know I have the potentials and to get more experience from different people, different culture, and just to put myself out there and see what best I can do.
As a researcher, it was nice to see. It was nice to see. It was nice to be in the lab. It was nice to be in a different environment. For me personally, I learned a lot. Chemical fungicides I knew weren't good. So it's nice to see that there's things that actually work apart from chemicals.
These collaborations which we are building, we hope to nurture them to the future so that we can work, we do more for mutual benefits of the two countries.
And then I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Osano, Professor Ogendo, Professor Otachi, our graduate mentor Alex, and my research partner Kiana has been great. Everyone has been super welcoming and super helpful. Also, the staff at Egerton has been very accommodating, very welcoming, and it's been great being here at Egerton and spending time with everyone and learning about living here in Kenya.
I'd like to thank Dr. Osano, Professor Ogendo, Dr. Otachi, and also Alex, my graduate mentor, and also the entire Egerton staff. Everyone has showed they have a reason to be here, and they have made sure to make us all comfortable. And even at times where they could be home, they were here making sure that we were happy. So I really appreciate them. And also my research partner, Jasmine. Without her, I probably would have left.
I would just like to take the time to acknowledge the USDA for funding this program. I'm very appreciative of that. I'm also appreciative of Dr. Osano for giving me the opportunity to be here, as well as Professor Ogendo, Dr. Nduko, Dennis, my mentor, and also Abdullahi, which is the graduate at Bowie State University and the coordinator of this program.
Yes, so for the acknowledgements, I'd like to acknowledge all the people that made this research extension and experience for undergraduates possible. This includes our principal investigators, Dr. Ann Osano and Professor Joshua Ogendo, as well as my mentor, Dr. Oscar Donde, my graduate student mentor, Casey Oting, my research partner, Esther, and the funding source for this came from the USDA. I also greatly appreciate all the staff at Egerton University, and especially the staff that has been working here in the lab with all the students, even late at night.
I would like to thank the people who funded this project, the USDA. Thanks to the USDA, thanks to my professor, always there for us, every experiment, counting the colonies. Thanks to my student mentor, Casey. Also, big thanks to Dr. Ogendo for bringing this team together and making this happen. And thanks to Dr. Sano for making this big thing happen. United States and Kenya for bringing us together, and we experience new culture and meeting new people.
My first thanks goes to the USDA for providing this grant for students like me to be exposed to institutions and programs that we wouldn't normally be exposed to. Secondly, my PI, Dr. Asano, who allotted me this opportunity allowed me to be in this opportunity, and really the mentors, like our graduate mentors who tirelessly work here, with us and allow us to be exposed to these things to the best of their ability. Our professor mentors, my professor mentor, Dr. Doto, Dr. Maina, and specifically also Professor Kibe, who has guided me through all of this, along with the students Enoch and Felicitas. They've guided me through this and opened my eyes into things that I would never ever have thought were possible. Kwaheri, Badai.
I would want to appreciate Egerton University through the Vice Chancellor, Professor Isaac Kibwage, for actually accepting to host this particular program. Secondly, I would want to thank the mentor professors. They have committed themselves to this process. Now, thirdly, I would want to thank the entire university community for actually accepting to have these fellows in the university and also be willing to support their processes.
I want to say thank you to my coordinator, Abdul, that has worked with the students one-on-one and made this happen. The fellows, last but not least, they've worked so tirelessly. I want to thank you, the fellows, for being so persistent. You would not take no for an answer. And for some of them, the last 2 days made the difference. I want to thank the people that, the agencies that have funded this program. Reeu, which is Research Experience for Undergraduate Students, funded by National Science Foundation. Thank you to the program officer. I want to appreciate Bowie State University.